everyone, this is Mason with TechFox, and today we have some exciting news for Xbox One owners. So in the next few weeks, a new service is going to be rolled out by Microsoft called Xbox Game Pass. Now you can kind of think of this as the Netflix of video games, but with a few notable differences. So this is essentially Microsoft's way of dealing with the used games and rental games industry. Essentially, whenever someone sells a used game or they rent out a game, Microsoft and also the associated publishers don't receive a cut of that money. The way they're getting around that is by introducing this new monthly pay system where you unlock a library of games to play as much as you want for one low monthly fee. I have access to this being an Xbox Insider a few weeks early, so I've been using the system. It really isn't any different than just buying a game and downloading it directly to your console. When the service launches, it'll have over 100 titles. I currently only have access to about 28, so it will have a number of titles at launch, and every month after that they will be adding new games to it. But also similar to Netflix, they will also periodically take games away due to contractual agreements with publishers. Now, those publishers include 2K, 505 Games, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Deep Silver, Focus Home, Microsoft Game Studios, Sega, Sync, THQ, and Warner Brothers. Now, it's important to note that brand new games are not going to find their way on there. Obviously, that makes sense. It's only $10 a month. At $60 a game, it wouldn't make sense to immediately put those on this Game Pass service if you can just play them for $10. But of course, this being a Microsoft idea, I would imagine that the Microsoft games will be on there quicker than games from other publishers. That would include games like Forza, Halo, Gears of War. So this service is meant to attract a wide audience of people. You don't need to have an Xbox Live Gold membership to do this. It's still just $10 a month whether or not you have Xbox Live Gold. However, if you see a game on there that may be leaving the service and discontinued at a certain point, you can buy the game for a 20% discount. So that's actually a really good idea to get people to potentially buy games to obviously extend the length of time that they can own that game on our console indefinitely. Also, any associated DLC is not included with the game at this point. However, if you do want to rent the game either through the Xbox Game Pass or buy it permanently, then you will also receive a 10% discount on any DLC as long as that game is in the active catalog. Now, you'll notice that I did say download the game to your Xbox. A place where this departs from other game streaming services and also media services like Netflix and Hulu is that the content is literally downloaded directly to your console and play it there. So you don't have to worry about connection issues, which of course are a really big deal when it comes to video games. You can watch media in lower quality. You can't do that when playing a game. You need a really good, constant internet connection. You can play it offline if you wanted to for up to 30 days. But if you're going to continue playing it online, you can play it as long as it's listed as in the active catalog. So this isn't without its issues. 100 titles really isn't that much, especially when you look at a service like Netflix that has movies and TV shows. They have literally thousands, maybe tens, or I don't even know, hundreds of thousands of choices on there, whereas with this Xbox Game Pass, you only have, like I said, about 100 games to choose from, and this is going to be growing, but still, that's not a whole lot of options when you think about it, and these aren't going to be games coming from a lot of notable publishers. This brings me to my second issue, is that there are publishers that will not be participating in this service for kind of obvious reasons. Some of them actually have their own service that's similar to this already, and it doesn't make sense for them to push some of those games onto the Xbox service because then of course they'll be losing people on their end. So some of those publishers that will not be participating are Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, and Ubisoft. Now, those are some pretty big names, and between those three, that's a lot of potential games that a lot of people play. So if you're hoping to get the new Assassin's Creed or maybe a sequel to The Division, you're not going to find it on this service anytime soon. This service is also not available on the Xbox 360. However, there are games in the library that are for the Xbox 360 that you can play through the backwards compatibility function on the Xbox One. So you have Xbox One games and 360 games available. However, the service is only available on the Xbox One. Also, some localities are restricted, so you'll have to check online and see if where you live you have access to these games. It's a lot of work on Microsoft's end to make sure that they're up to snuff when it comes to licensing restrictions in different regions. And also another restriction, because the games are going to be downloaded locally, you are going to need a lot of storage space. If you plan on downloading every single game that they have in the library, you're going to run out of room very quick. You can't just stream the service. Downloading it locally is mandatory. So if this sounds like a great idea to you, then you're probably wondering when you can start leveraging this service. Well, as I mentioned, Xbox insiders currently have access to it. However, that testing period is going to be over on the 28th of April. They have not disclosed officially when it will be launched to everyone. What they have mentioned is that it will be open to Xbox Live Gold members early. So if you have an Xbox Live Gold subscription right now, then you'll be able to access the Game Pass before everyone else. And they haven't given an official date on that. It simply says coming later this spring. So no definitive timeline on that. However, it is going to be sometime soon since they're going to be concluding their testing next week. So is this a good deal? That's a hard question to answer. It's hard to tell if it's worth it. At face value, it does sound like a good deal. $10 a month doesn't sound like a whole lot, especially when a single game can cost up to $60, and we have a library of over 100 games available to you. As long as you're paying that subscription, you have access to those. It really depends on the kind of person you are. If you're the kind of person that buys a lot of used games because you want to have a big library, you want to try out a lot of games, or if you're really into achievements, then this potentially could be a really good deal for you. You can do this, only spend $10 a month and have access to a ton of games. And of course, if you get any achievements or anything while you're playing these games, those are permanently stored, whether or not the game is on your console. So if you're really into achievements and you're really into just trying new things and you like playing different games from different genres and different developers, and you have no loyalties to any particular genre or franchise, then yeah, I would do it. But that's just my 2 cents. I want to hear what you guys have to think, though. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you see any potential problems with this service being rolled out by Microsoft? And are you going to buy it? Are you going to start using the Xbox Game Pass when it releases later this spring? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section right below that like button. If you want to see other videos related to this one, go ahead and check those out right here. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see other content in the future related to this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.